Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez. Just a reminder at the top of the show that the meetings we cover are available to watch anytime in the town's online archives. Log on to town.barnstable.ma.us. The focus of the Barnstable Senior Center's annual Valentine Tea is to acknowledge caregivers in our community. But this year's event, which was held last Thursday, February 18th, was particularly special, as State Secretary of Elder Affairs Ann Hartstein joined town officials and senior services staff in honoring the many local residents who selflessly look after their elderly and disabled relatives. Let's take a look back on the event, beginning with some words of welcome from Town Manager John Klim.
On behalf of the entire council, we want to welcome all of you to this event today in memory of all of our loved ones, and especially to the many, many caregivers here in the town of Barnstable. It's such a pleasure to welcome you, Madam Secretary, and through you to publicly thank your boss, our governor, who has done so much not only for our seniors community but also for all of us here in the town of Barnstable. Thank you very much. And I'd also like to recognize just for a moment a good friend of all of ours, Leslie Shears from Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands, who does day in and day out, who does so very much for all of us here on Cape Cod. And last but not least, I'd like to just mention something to our secretary, and that is we absolutely in Barnstable feel so very blessed, not only to have this wonderful facility that we believe is second to none, but to have a staff of dedicated employees and a whole group of volunteers who work here day in and day out to make this such a very special place. We all understand that these are tough financial times, and while we want to make sure that a strong message goes back through you to our governor that services to our senior population are so very important, we understand that times are tough, and it is in these tough times that it becomes more and more important that our citizens volunteer their services as so many do here on a daily basis. So welcome to all of you. Enjoy yourselves, and welcome, Madam Secretary.
Next, it was Secretary Hartstein's turn to offer her remarks. After spending some time lauding the Barnstable Senior Center as one of the best in Massachusetts, she turned her attention to the caregivers in the audience and the important work that they do.
I call caregivers the most under-recognized and overutilized individuals in our nation. Okay? Under-recognized and overutilized. We know that 3/4 of the services that are available to people to help them maintain themselves in their home, whether young or old, is because of informal supports. And that's what caregivers often are, informal supports that really help people maintain themselves in the community setting of their choice. And just so you know, you're not alone. Nearly 66 million people in the U.S. are unpaid caregivers. And that's really what our system of care relies on and how people manage. Most caregivers are looking for people over 50 years of age. There are some that are looking for younger people. But we know that it's family members of all ages, and at the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, we've seen a large increase in the number of grandparents actually raising grandchildren. And that's a caregiving situation as well that often, again, is not recognized. And I know that you have an active group here for grandparents raising grandchildren, and I applaud you for that. We do have a new resource for grandparents raising grandchildren, which is on our website, and I'll make sure that Madeline has that information for anyone who wants it. We know that without caregivers, many people would have to be placed in nursing facilities, and no one really wants to do that. So I just want to again thank you for the work that you do. What we also know is that the caregivers themselves are aging in place. So we know that people who are giving care to others, not only are the care recipients growing older at home, but the caregivers are growing older. On average, the age has gone up in the last 5 years for both of those groups. The other statistic I'd like to share with you is that on average, caregivers spend 20.4 hours per week providing care. That's a full half-time job. And again, we all do it without really even knowing that we're doing it, meaning without acknowledging that it's actually a job that we do for people. And that's why it's so incredible that it happens, because we do it from our heart. We don't really think about it as a job. We do what needs to be done for the people that we care for, and that's what makes the world go round.
After Secretary Hartstein, event organizer and Senior Services Assistant Director Rose D. Gregorio took a turn at the microphone to thank everyone for their efforts.
Caregiving is really such a special role that we all play in our family's lives. And I'm playing that role every day as well, whether it's for the person I love and I see every day, or for my mom. And it's such a big deal and very special. And what I also want to say is this Caregiver Tea started because somewhere out there, really the state identified that caregiving is that important in our society. We need to take care of members of our society. And I really need to, I may have initiated it here at the Barnstable Senior Center, but I really have to thank Leslie Scher for giving us the opportunity to do that through Elder Services, through their family caregiver program. When that funding source came down to us, we didn't even, it really wasn't in our radar. And then all of a sudden we said, oh yeah, I think I can work with this. And when it, it's like in the air, and when it came to us, the opportunity for funding, we were able to apply for that grant. And I think that was over 10 years ago. And we have repeatedly expanded and enhanced our caregiver services here at the Barnstable Senior Center. But we truly know we've only touched the surface. And we're willing to climb the mountain. And we hope we have that opportunity in the years ahead to really advocate for more services for caregivers, because we know how to do it. We just got to figure out as a community, from here straight through to the White House, how to get those services back into the community. So thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure, and I'm really happy today.
Finally, just before the audience settled in for tea and entertainment, Senior Services Director Madeline Taylor closed the formal portion of the Valentine Tea with a word of thanks to Secretary Hartstein, whose office delivered a grant critical to the operation of the Senior Center.
I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Secretary Hartstein for the formula grant. Our formula grant that we receive each year from the state helps to fund mainly staff positions here. It funds our activity coordinator, our volunteer coordinator, and part of our outreach workers' hours. And we just received official notification last week that we were awarded $83,000 this year, which is really significant. And we actually got an increase. Over last year's award, we received an additional $6,000, which I can assure you we put to very good use here at the centre. It helps to keep our Silver Express vans, which you can see out the window, help with the repairs and maintenance. It helps with our newsletter costs as well. So thank you very much on behalf of all of us here.
A full week of board and committee meetings is underway. Let's take a look at the schedule. On Tuesday, February 23rd, the press conference that previews this week's Town Council meeting will be held in the Town Hall hearing room at 3:30 p.m. At 6 p.m., the Airport Commission meets at the Barnstable Municipal Airport, and at 7 p.m., the Waterways Committee meets in the Selectmen's Conference Room at Town Hall. On Wednesday, February 24th, there's an amnesty hearing in the Town Hall hearing room at 6 p.m. That's followed at 7 p.m. by a Zoning Board of Appeals meeting in the Town Hall hearing room. Also at 7 p.m., the Old Kings Highway Historic District Commission meets at the West Barnstable Community Center on Route 149. On Thursday, February 25th, the Town Council meets in the Town Hall hearing room. That meeting begins at 7 p.m. Well, that's all the time we have for now. I'm Nick Cortez. We'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.